Well, hello and good morning. Welcome to another Sunday morning coffee with Dr. Childress here. So today I'm going to be talking about fighting back. Um, this is going to be quite the bloodbath in professional psychology for a while. I kind of knew it was coming, but I tried to avoid it. But here we are. So today I'm going to be discussing the things that I'm doing to fight back. There was a game we used to play as kids because kids are stupid, where we would hit each other to see who's the toughest kid, and you decide who's going first, which is a little scary. You go, okay, you go first, and we would hit each other right there on the arm, and you say, okay, go, and bam, he'd hit you. And you go, geez, and then it'd be your turn, and then you wind up and bam, and just kind of see who's the toughest kid. And that's basically what's going on here. We're going to be taking shots at each other, professional psychology and Dr. Childress right now, because there's an inverted system. There's institutional capture. And so I'm holding shape, ethical shape, professional shape, and that's going to collapse the system, but it's going to be a little difficult right now until the unethical, ignorant psychologists engage with actual knowledge and actual solutions. So I've taken their hit. Okay, the pathogen needs to stop me. And so the pathogen has tried to stop me. It's taken my license in California. But I'm not licensed only in California. I'm also licensed in Washington. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's taken its shot. It gets one. It got one. It took a good one. Boom. I lose my license. Okay. Now it's my turn. Okay. So now they have to, and I can do this for a long time. So let's talk about what's going on here. So the first thing, just where we stand. So my California license was revoked for harshly criticizing the professional practices of Doctors Burnett and Lorandos in their continuing to promote the fabricated pathology of parental alienation, because my criticism damaged their professional reputations. Now, that's a very interesting thing, but I'm not going to discuss that further at this point. What I will say is you may want to read Exhibit 3, which are the Parental Alienation Study Group emails from Dr. Burnett in 2013 that indicate he knows parental alienation is not in the DSM-5, and he knows what the DSM-5 diagnoses are. And then the Exhibit 22 from Claude, which is a Claude analysis, basically, of those emails and the implications. And you can all decide for yourself what's going forward. My Washington license currently remains unaffected. Now, what will happen is I'll go through whatever the process is with California, and once that stabilizes out and I have solid results, then I'll go to the Washington board and inform them of that, and then see what's up with my Washington license. And hopefully that will be, I'll continue with my Washington license, and we'll see what's going on. From there, the next thing is that I will no longer criticize the professional practices of Doctors Burnett and Lorandos. I'm done. Okay, you're on your own. My duty to protect has been discharged to the California Board of Psychology through my exhibits, my testimony, and my license. So you're on your own at this point. My focus, I'm going to be turning into the forensic custody evaluators. Those are the ones who own you. Those are the ones who have captured the system. And so I'll be talking about what I'm going to be doing with them. But it's interesting, and we may come back to this issue, that the California Board of Psychology has basically indemnified Doctors Burnett and Lorandos from any criticism that damages their professional reputations. Well, that's going to short circuit and prevent professional discussions. But that's the way of things. Now, what I will be doing, I'll be describing in the next series of slides what I'll be doing from here on out, which is turning into the forensic custody evaluators. The first thing I'm doing is I've just finished an AFCC sponsored course in parenting plan evaluations. That's their new name for forensic custody evaluators or evaluations. And I generate a catalog of concerns relative to that. Now, the catalog of concerns, just to tell you a little bit about that, developed as I was reviewing forensic custody evaluations. I would go through them line by line because they're so dense in their ignorance and so dense in their symptom reporting that I had to go through them line by line, and that was tremendously time consuming. To speed up the process, because they always say the same thing, so that when I always say the same thing, I developed a catalog of concerns, and then I could cite to the number. Every time, it was a concern about bias, I could cite to concern 7, and I wouldn't have to explain it each time. And that reduced the amount of time I had to spend in my second opinion review of custody evaluations. Now I brought AI on, and so I use AI a lot for that process now, and that becomes my appendix 1. But I still continue to use a catalog of concerns when I do it personally. And I've got a formula. It's about 20 concerns right now. I'm formalizing that up, and I've applied those to the forensic custody evaluation course. And so I'll be using the catalog of concerns going forward. And then I already realize I have 1.04 obligations. I am concerned that there may have been an ethical violation by another psychologist of 2.04, 2.01, 9.01, 3.04, 8.01, and 5.04. So that's quite a few concerns I have regarding the course. So I will be sending out letters to the instructors explaining the concerns, making them aware of the concerns, which is where the catalog of concerns comes in. And that can potentially then activate my 1.05 obligations, which are to take additional or further action appropriate to the situation with some recommendations. If the concerns are not properly resolved by informal notification. So we'll see what happens with that. But then my 1.05 obligations would involve notifying the AFCC Board of Directors regarding the ethical concerns surrounding the course, and then potentially licensing board complaints relative to the whole string there of concerns. Now, that APA ethics code is mandatory, so the 1.04 is mandatory. My 1.04 letter is mandatory, informal notification, and then I'm going to bring the support for the concerns, which is the catalog, and you'll ultimately probably see the whole process operating out. And then if the concerns are not properly resolved in that fashion, the 1.05 says I take further action, such as contacting a state or national committee on professional ethics, that's the APA Ethics Committee, an appropriate institutional authority, that's the AFCC Board of Directors, and licensing boards. Last year, when I did exactly the same thing regarding their course on parent-child contact problems, I contacted the APA Ethics Committee, and they informed me that they do not review individual cases until after a licensing board had adjudicated it. So then I filed the licensing board complaints because that's basically the instructions from the APA Ethics Committee. So I did that last year. There's 6 pending board complaints against their instructors last year. Now we have a new set of instructors, and we got the same process in play. We'll see how that unfolds. And I can do this over and over again. Each class I take will likely activate 1.04 on their failure to use established knowledge, boundaries of competence, but they don't know the knowledge, they don't apply the knowledge, then that cascades up into not having sufficient evidentiary bases for their opinions and causing harm to others. And there's 8.01 is failure to get institutional review board approval for their assessment approach, all sorts of things. But you can read all about that later on. We have last year's exhibit on the 2025 APA ethics committees. I sent that into them, and you can read it all there. It'll basically be the same. And then you'll get the catalog of concerns at some point here too. So, yeah, until somebody addresses the issues, or tells me not to follow the APA ethics code, that's the situation. Now, in addition, I've got the APA Ethics Committee regarding forensic custody evaluations. And so I'll be filing a formal complaint to the APA Ethics Committee regarding the entire practice of forensic custody evaluations, parenting plan assessments in the family courts. And I'll be using the catalog of concerns to support that, as well as information regarding regulatory capture and institutional betrayal, and then also citing to the AFCC 2025 course and the AFCC 2026 course. So last year, my committee notice was about 6 specific psychologists. But the implication is if there's 6 of them, that it's an institutional failure. It's not about any individual. But the APA Ethics Committee says, no, we're not going to review it. So this year, I'm going to send in one about the forensic custody evaluation industry in its entirety. And I've now got 2 courses, not individuals. And it'll be 1.04, 8.01, the failure to get IRB approval will be the lead on that. So they failed to get IRB approval. There's a catalog of concerns. There's a New York Blue Ribbon Commission on forensic custody evaluations. And there'll be a little bit more about 2.01 competence that I'll talk about in a second. So so now I've got the AFCC course. That's one domain. I've got the APA Ethics Committee. That's a different domain that's going to be moving forward over the next few months. Then let's talk about the catalog of concerns. So I will be publishing the catalog of concerns to Amazon. There's basically about 20 concerns with the practice of forensic custody evaluations, the parenting plan assessments, and they are derived from the direct review of forensic custody evaluations and the AFCC course content. So it's basically the same set of concerns all the time. Initially, they were derived from my direct looking at the custody evaluations, and now they've been refined and refined and refined, and now I'm applying them to the course, and so that'll get published to Amazon. Everybody can see it, and we'll be using that going forward on things. And then, in addition, I am currently in the family courts conducting AI augmented reviews of forensic custody evaluations, as well as other mental health reports, emails, texts, any documentation. I can run it through an AI, Gemini 3, and get a neutral analysis of the dynamics within the family. Just to share with you what I do with Gemini, it's a path A, path B analysis. Path A is that the targeted parent is abusing the child in some way, creating the detachment pathology. Path B is that the allied parent has a persecutory delusion and is creating a factitious attachment pathology in the child because of narcissistic borderline dark personality traits. So it's looking for path A, path B, and it's kind of tracking all the evidence, and it can give me statistics. It can say there's a 85% probability it's path B and only 15 that is path A, and that sort of thing. And because everybody fights about me, and they're going to fight even more. Opposing counsel is going to bring up, did you have your license suspended or sanctioned in California? And yes, I did. And they'll try to make it seem like I'm unethical. But if the other attorney on redirect, asks me why, it's because I'm harshly critical of the PAS experts. Okay, there's no such thing as parental alienation in the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is a persecutory delusion, factitious disorder imposed on another, and I think everybody should be using the DSM-5. And if you want to add stuff, go do that after you use the DSM-5, please, because we have a parent with a major psychiatric disorder, a delusional disorder, who's psychologically abusing the child. So let's get that taken care of and resolved, and then we can go talk about new stuff. Okay, but let's use the DSM-5. Let's stop the child abuse. So with the catalog of concerns, that is, with the AI review in the family courts. So I'm doing that for client parents and their attorneys. And so I'll be continuing to conduct AI augmented document reviews of forensic custody evaluations and mental health reports, meaning that every forensic custody evaluator runs the risk that they're going to have their report reviewed by Gemini 3 and Dr. Childress. And they're going to have to look. I'm looking. That's the other thing I have Gemini look for, the AI look for, is ethical violations. 2.04. Did they apply the established knowledge of the DSM-5, persecutory delusions, attachment, family systems? Did they apply the established knowledge? 2.04. Raises a question 2.01, which is a VITA review. We can look at their VITA and see that if they even have background, education, training, and experience in the necessary domains of knowledge. They don't know the knowledge, they don't apply the knowledge. That leads to cascade to 9.01 violation, basis for assessment, 3.04, avoiding harm. So there's a 4 set of ethical violations that I have the AI looking for, in addition to what the family pathology shows. So that's going to be interesting. The forensic custody evaluators are going to get to know the name of Dr. Childress. I will also employ the application of the catalog of concerns with the forensic custody evaluations. So that will be another thing that the attorneys and parents will get a catalog specific to that report, but it's going to be the basic one that will be printed at Amazon. So you can all look at that ahead of time as well and see what the bad things that are going to be showing up. In addition, I just participated in a research study from Dr. Saini out of the University of Toronto. Now, Dr. Saini is currently the president of the AFCC. So I participated in based on an invitation sent through the AFCC to participate in some survey research conducted by Dr. Saini and approved through the Institutional Review Board of University of Toronto. And so I'm going to be following up on that as appropriate. I answered all the questions. I provided some feedback in their little boxes that asked for feedback. And then they said, would you volunteer for an interview with our research staff? I said, sure. So that's what's pending, is my interview with the research staff, and then we'll see what's up with that. I anticipate that once it's completed, I'm going to request the IRB submission from Dr. Saini relative to the research. And I have concerns about 8.01, an institutional review board review of the practice of forensic custody evaluations. So not the research specifically, but what it's researching is dangerous, harmful to children, lacks scientific and legal value, and should be eliminated from the family courts. And I'm wondering if the IRB is aware of the findings of the New York Blue Ribbon Commission, and maybe that might alter their assessment of the situation. But we'll figure all that out. But I'm opening up a new vector. So I've got the APA Ethics Committee. I've got the AFCC Board of Directors. I've got the licensing boards, all kind of involved in the situation. With this, I'm opening up institutional review boards, IRBs. Now, the other institutions are captured and inverted. IRBs are kind of an interesting thing. They're kind of a serious crowd. So we'll see what's up once we get over there. Violation of the Belmont report is basically the forensic custody evaluations are a violation of the Belmont report. Okay. Now, I'm not saying Dr. Saini's research, but he's researching something that's in violation of the Belmont report. So I just wanted a little bit more clarity on things there. Then veto review project. Let's talk about this one. This is going to be kind of interesting. So I will develop an AI augmented veto review protocol. And then I'm going to recruit volunteer parents. I'm calling you guys my owls. So whoever wants to volunteer to be an owl for Dr. Childress, I'm going to recruit volunteer parents to help me with this project. And I'll organize the parents into teams. And these teams will identify forensic custody evaluators from the court referral lists, AFCC membership, and internet search. So every court has these referral lists. Let's get the referral lists, identify who those psychologists are, AFCC membership, who are the forensic custody evaluators there, and just an internet search of forensic custody evaluators in various regions. So we're going to locate who they are and then locate and request their VITA from the identified custody evaluators. So if they're online, the VITA's online, that's easy. We just get it offline. If it's not, then just send an email requesting their VITA. If they don't say respond or give their VITA, well, that becomes data. We just put that in a little bucket. How many of those we get, but we'll be seeking to get all the VITAs. Then we're going to run all their VITAs through the AI augmented VITA review protocol and see if they're competent in attachment and delusional thought disorders. And we'll use that information to support the APA Ethics Committee complaint. So understand, I'm putting together a VITA review project to look at 2.01 boundaries of competence with the forensic custody evaluators. So we're just going to go get as many VITAs as we can from the custody evaluators and then run them through an AI and see if there's 2.01 violations. Are they competent based on their education, training, and experience in attachment pathology, diagnostic assessment, and treatment of attachment pathology? Child rejecting a parent is an attachment pathology. And are they competent in the diagnostic assessment of delusional thought disorders? The differential diagnosis, path A, path B, is a delusional thought disorder, persecutory delusion with a lied parent. Are they competent in those? And we'll run it through the AI. The AI will look at it, we'll compile the data, and then we'll use it as to support the APA Ethics Committee complaint. So what I'm going to be doing to put this together, so these are my owls. And I'll tell you later maybe why owls, but I like owls. So my owls. So I'm going to request that I get a couple of parents who serve as team leaders to assist me in organizing the various parent teams that we put together. And perhaps develop a parent advocacy organization. So if there's already a parent advocacy organization out there that wants to come on board and kind of head this up, the advocacy leader about that, well, that's great. You come on and you can be one of the team leaders and help put that together. If not, maybe just develop something, because as you go forward, it'd be a little better if you had an organization to be advocating with this data and information, that the organization did this VITA analysis and look what the results are. My goodness gracious. And so, but we'll talk about that once I get the volunteers in and start organizing things up. So then I will request the other team volunteers to locate the forensic custody evaluators in their states through court referral lists and internet searches, and then obtain their vitas. So we'll probably won't get all 50 states, but we'll get the major ones: California, New York, Florida, somewhere in the mid regions, Illinois, maybe Pennsylvania, Texas, So we'll find the regions, and then just go get as many Vita as you can from the custody evaluators, and it's real easy to run them through an AI. Boop, 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 boop. And the AI protocol will be all clear and specified and good, and everybody can use it and do it. And then request the team leader volunteers to locate custody evaluator membership in the AFCC and obtain their Vita. So in addition to like the state geographic regions, another resource is you just go to membership list of the AFCC and get those custody evaluators, send them an email, say, can I get your Vita? And they say no, and then you say they're withholding their background information from the general public. And why would that be? Because they're not competent, 2.01. And so the additional feature of the OWLs is the OWL team leaders and members will then potentially outreach to state legislators and the AFCC Board of Directors by sending them a copy of the catalog of concerns and the data from the Vita review. So that's why I'd like to see the parents kind of take charge of this Vita review project and kind of organize it up. And I'm giving you the catalog of concerns. It'll be published up on Amazon. And you can, like this, you can send it to your state legislator. They get a catalog of concerns regarding forensic custody evaluations, plus advocacy groups, plus data, and plus the New York Blue Ribbon Commission report. And we need to get back to diagnosis and treatment and stop forensic custody evaluations. Now that's going to collapse the entire family court mental health system. Oh my goodness, we got all these custody evaluators. That's their career. They don't want to stop being custody evaluators. And so there's going to be a lot of institutional resistance. Then we also have Jennifer Freud's Center for Institutional Courage. She's the one who wrote about institutional capture. So as things move forward, maybe the OWLs might want to get in dialogue with Jennifer Freud's group on institutional capture and institutional betrayal trauma. So we're putting all this together. One of the implications of that is that I'm going to become a very known entity in the family courts by next year, by the summer. All the forensic custody evaluators are going to know my name, Dr. Childress. That's going to become part of just everybody in the courts, all the judges, attorneys, everybody is going to know who Dr. Childress is. California board complaint, everybody's going to know everything about that as well. It's not a patient care ethical issue. It's harshly critical of the PAS experts, and I'm not allowed to be, and so I damaged their reputation. Okay, I won't criticize them anymore, but I'll criticize the forensic custody industry, the institution of mental health services in the family courts. That I'm going to continue to do. So if you want to volunteer to become an OWL of Dr. Childress, contact Anna Tao. She's my case manager for Dr. Childress, and there's her email address. So just send her a little email. I've given her a heads up. So sorry, Anna, but you're going to be getting some emails coming in. She'll just kind of say howdy and get those emails over to me, and then maybe outreach. What I will be doing is setting up some meetings then with all the people who want to participate in this. I might set them up on Zoom if there's a lot, or in my DoxyMe office with some of the team leaders or that sort of thing. So we'll put the project together. But if you want to volunteer for it, just send Anna an email, and she'll help coordinate that whole process. So to close off this Sunday, I just want to remind everybody that the New York Blue Ribbon Commission on Forensic Custody Evaluations, the only independent review ever conducted of them, found them to be dangerous, harmful to children, lack scientific or legal value. They produce defective reports leading to potentially disastrous consequences for parents and children. And by an 11-9 margin, a majority of commission members favor elimination of the forensic custody evaluation entirely from the family courts. Now, they're not saying the pathology is dangerous. They're saying the psychologists are dangerous and harmful to children. The psychologists, what they're doing is dangerous, and it needs to stop. That's the only review we've ever had. It needs to stop until we get an IRB review, and an IRB would never approve the practice of forensic custody evaluations. So here's the direct quote from New York Blue Ribbon. I'm not making this stuff up. From New York Blue Ribbon Commission on Forensic Custody Evaluations. In some custody cases, because of a lack of evidence or the inability of parties to pay for expensive challenges of an evaluation, defective reports, which is what you get, can thus escape meaningful scrutiny. Meaningful scrutiny is what I do. But if they escape me, then guess what happens? They escape meaningful scrutiny and are often accepted by the court with potentially disastrous consequences for you, the parents, and your children. That's their finding. By an 11-9 margin, a majority of commission members favor elimination of forensic custody evaluations entirely, arguing that these reports are biased and harmful to children and lack scientific or legal value. At worst, evaluations can be dangerous, particularly in situations of domestic violence or child abuse. It's not just me saying this. The New York Blue Ribbon Commission, independent commission, looked at them. Dangerous, harmful to children, lack scientific and legal value. They need to stop. So let's stop them. Let's get back to diagnosis and treatment. The moment we go back to diagnosis and treatment, we solve everything. We diagnose a delusional disorder, the child abuse, we protect the child, we treat the pathology, we solve it 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks. We got a complete resolution of the problem. Diagnosis guides treatment. It's child abuse. We need to protect the child. If we don't protect the child, no treatment's going to work. Okay, so diagnosis guides treatment. Can we please apply the DSM-5 and get a diagnosis, differential diagnosis? Targeted parent wants that diagnosis. Can we please get them an assessment for that, please? So here's what Dr. Childress is doing. So I've got the AFCC course. That's going to be the 1.04 letters and potentially the AFCC Board of Directors and potentially state licensing boards off the course. So we'll see what that evolves into. I'm going to publish the catalog of concerns to Amazon. We're going to get the APA Ethics Committee complaint. I'm going to hopefully get to that in like June or July, early July. I'd like to get that complaint in based on the Belmont report and then a bunch of cascading violations to APA Ethics Code 2.01, 2.04, 9.01, the whole cascade. And then the review of the research IRB approval. I just want to see what the IRB knows about forensic custody evaluations, and would they be interested in knowing a little bit more about what's going on here. And then the AI review of individual forensic custody evaluations. I'll be doing those and churning them over, and we'll see what happens off of those. And then the VITA review project with the OWLs. Now, the individual forensic custody evaluators, they get judicial immunity for what they do because they're court appointed and you have to get release of information. You can never get that. So they're basically immune from oversight by anybody for what they do. which is highly problematic because it results in the lack of competence across a variety of areas. But they're not, they get no judicial immunity for their Vita and 2.01 boundaries of competence. And so if it's an attachment pathology, they need to be competent in the attachment system based on their education, training, and experience. What they publish is not relevant. Their opinions are not relevant. What education, training, and experience have they had in the diagnostic assessment and treatment of attachment pathology and the assessment of delusional thought disorders? Differential diagnosis is delusional thought disorder, persecutory delusion. Are they competent based on their education, training, and experience in the diagnostic assessment of persecutory delusions? The answers I've found in looking at eight top forensic custody evaluators from last year, 8 of their top custody, most prominent custody evaluators, is that no, they're not competent in attachment pathology 2.01 and delusional thought disorders 2.01, which is highly concerning. And if they're not, then what does that say about everybody who's not as competent as them? So that's the system, and the system needs to take a look at itself and correct itself. But the system is captured by the forensic custody evaluators, and so that's a problem. It's called regulatory capture, Stigler. So with that, that's what I'm doing. I got my summer, probably most of my summer, maybe a little bit of the fall into place here. I'm still having to navigate the getting hit by the California Board of Psychology. Okay, and then now we'll see what happens with my Washington license and stabilize that out, and we'll know more by the time the summer comes. But I'm the competent psychologist. I'm the ethical psychologist. I'm trying to protect children and parents in the family courts. Why is everybody trying to stop me from protecting children and getting ethical, services into the family courts? Because they don't want a solution. They don't want to protect children. They want to silence me and make me go away. I'm not going away until we get the child abuse stopped and the spousal abuse stopped. And it's so simple, so simple. Apply the DSM-5. Try it. Just go ahead and try it. You'll solve everything. The moment you apply the DSM-5, you will solve everything. Persecutory delusion, child psychological abuse. Hey, I've even given you the treatment, contingent visitation schedule. You will solve everything. The moment you stop using euphemisms, it's not parent-child contact problems. It's not resist-refuse dynamic. It's not parental alienation. It's child abuse. It's a persecutory delusion in the allied parent. Just look for it. Use your diagnostic criteria and just look and see if the allied parent has a persecutory delusion. They do. Look if the child has it. They do. Use the brief psychiatric rating scale, BPRS, the oldest, most widely used scale to measure psychotic symptoms. Apply it. You'll see that in the catalog of concerns. I go down, you apply the BPRS, it's going to come out as a 5, a moderately severe persecutory delusion. Try it. Just try. See what happens. You'll solve everything in the family courts. So with that, I'm off to my Sunday. Good luck, everybody, and I'll tell you what's going on next week. It's something else going on in the court. So look forward to hearing from many parents who want to participate in the Vita review, and we'll talk to you next week.